Thank you. I'd like to thank WAN-IFRA for having me here, and especially to have a young person talk about youth. So I'm 22, so I am your target market. So it'll be perhaps, I guess, a different perspective. Which brings me to my start point, whether it is for newspapers or whether it is for any brand. It is very critical to have young people a part of your decision making, a part of your strategy when you are creating a strategy for them, in my case for us. This is what we call co-creation. And especially now in a very interesting space such as newspapers, which is competing with an iPad, competing with a different kind of gizmos as a medium for information dissemination. So I'll quickly look at why youth. These are basic facts just to start with. Out of the total population today, we are about, the three-fourth segment of youth is literate. Now, when I say literate, I don't mean literate in English, but they have either are on their way to literacy or they already have access to information on how to understand language. Particularly, the literate segment is growing in the urban areas, which is fortunate as well as unfortunate, but that is a fact. Now, 2/3 of the total youth population, as per a research done by us, when I say youth population, I mean the urban and metros, rate the newspaper as a more credible source of information than the television. So that is good news. But have you ever wondered that why today's youth is getting so much importance? You guys, I see not many young people in the audience. So when you were young, your youthfulness was not given so much importance, unfortunately, for various factors. But the reason why it is happening now is because there is nothing called Indian youth. Shocked? India is so diverse. Every young person is different. If you walked into a classroom filled with 100 people, there would be 100 different kinds of youths that would be present. Therefore, whenever I go and speak or whenever we consult clients, when they spend lakhs of rupees in defining youth, I say that the real challenge is not in defining youth because there is no definition. It is we are continuously evolving and extremely diverse. The money has to be spent in understanding us and a continuous understanding. So today what I'm saying, or today if you are a brand manager and you come and ask me how do you consume, on what basis do you form your opinion, my answer will be pertaining to the situation I'm in, whether am I compelled to answer it or am I not, various different factors, and that will change tomorrow morning. So that is evolving. Therefore, the challenge and the budgets that you must allocate is to stay connected with young people. By developing that connect, you will be able to co-create content, you will be able to co-create your marketing strategies, as well as know what's happening in general, and also feel young yourself, because you're talking to young people. We had done a brief a survey on emerging youth trends. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call what I'm going to show you youth trends, but more like mindset shifts. What's happening is that because of various societal and cultural and political as well as natural influences, a slow but gradual mindset shift is happening in urban youth. Just quick point, most of my presentation is aimed at urban youth, whereas the last part is on rural, because rural is a complete different India altogether, and that would give me, I would need 1 more hour for that, and especially after a lunch break, I don't think it's possible for both of us. So I'm going to look at some of the emerging urban mindset shifts. Entrepreneurship, the thirst for quick success, an unconventional lifestyle, is making young people more entrepreneurial. Now, what do you mean by entrepreneurial? It doesn't mean that every young person wants to start up a business. It means that he or she is thinking in a different way. They're building that aspiration. They're having a sustained dream. There was a time when at the age of 14, somebody wanted to become a pilot, and at the age of 16, a bus conductor, and at the age of 18, would end up doing engineering. That is declining. More and more young people, and I would say the pre-teens and as well as the teens, they're creating a target for themselves. They're looking at a goal, and they are pursuing it. They are making it more. Therefore, they're becoming more entrepreneurial in their behavior. Now, as a newspaper brand, how does this mindset shift affect you? What happens is that if you believe that young people are getting more entrepreneurial, the content that you provide them has to be a platform for them to achieve and learn. There was a time, there's a very easy, I see there are many people from Bennett and Coleman and HT Media and companies such as these. You know that whole belief of young people only read Bombay Times or Delhi Times and look at page 3. That's not going to be reality anymore. That is reality now. But if you look at 2 or 3 years, 5 years from now, young people are going to consume Economic Times or a Mint or a front page Times of India, and they're going to read the news because they are getting more and more ambitious. They want to know what's happening. Just this morning before coming here, I had a meeting with the editor of the Lok Sabha TV. And we are doing a project of starting an entire platform where how young people can be informed about what's happening in the parliament and also have an opinion over there. So that is, you know, assuring that this trend is happening. Ethical citizenship. So young people are becoming more and more concerned. It's funny, but you know, the movie 2012, where they say the world is going to end in 2012, has actually created a fear in young people's mind. And what happened in Japan has further reinstated the fear that yes, there is a possibility that the world might end. And therefore, young people are becoming concerned about the environment. We are no longer the brash species. If you see an average young guy, he's not into drinking and driving anymore. He's not into polluting. He's slowly stopping the use of polythene bags. And when I say youth, again, I'm talking about the mass. I'm not talking about those 5-6 examples of Manish Katawa in Bombay or Alistair Pereira in Bombay who crushed 6 people on Carter Road. They are not Indian youth. I'm talking about the average Indian youth. Now, as a newspaper, what happens? If your paper develops a connect with young people and gives them a perception that your newspaper is a way for them to become more ethical, is a way for them to be more informed, is a way for them to know what society is really, they will sustainably consume your content because it is conforming to their the ethical values and the beliefs and the perceptions that young people are changing and therefore redeveloping what they believed before. A lot of young people just say, who cares about the environment, jo hona hai, dekha jayega. But that's not happening anymore. Offline networking. Anybody heard the term offline networking? We've all been hearing social networking, we've all been hearing Facebook. But what's happening is that the advent of Facebook, when it came, it was like a rush. It was like, you know, what happened when you have a couple of glasses of beer, you get that rush, it's fun. But what's happening with young people is that the more they went onto Facebook, the more they started losing themselves and the personal connect that they had. I remember I used to, way before Facebook came, when I was much younger, we used to look forward to going and having that burger at McDonald's with our friends. But today, it doesn't matter because there's Facebook chat. But therefore, the adverse of what's happening is that young people are slowly realizing that touch they had, that feeling of friendship, that feeling of association is diminishing because of the growth of Facebook usage. So what's happening is that a lot of their personal communication, a lot of their opinion building, a lot of their perceptions are being developed by the communication that happens on that college canteen table, in that pub, in that small house parties that they have. So what's happening is that what they do on Facebook is now becoming more superficial. It's sharing pictures of, you know, the short dresses that they saw the women wear or the guys showing off. But that's all about it. Facebook is all about showing a self of you that is not you. But the real self is being displayed in those mini offline networks, groups that young people are now getting back to. So imagine the power, imagine the influence you could have if you developed a mechanism to seed yourself within these offline groups. That is where you will know what's really happening and what young people are talking about, because then they know that nobody is listening. So I'll tell you what we've done. We have developed India's first offline social network of insight seekers and conversation seeders, or we call them transmitters. But what are they? They are normal college-going kids whom we train on how to strategically seed conversations, how to take in insights, and then give those to us. So imagine, on those tables, if you were to talk to me, and if you knew that I was listening to you, your answers, your reactions would be formulated and carefully, you would carefully think about what you're speaking, but what if I let it loose? What if I kept a couple of glasses of coffee or cans of beer and you said, okay, just talk what you want, and I place people each of these tables without you knowing somebody is there, and their job is just to listen and strategically engage you in the flow of the conversation in which I want you to go. Well, that's where you know what really young people are talking about. So for a newspaper, such a network is a boon, because then you really know what young people want to know. You really get to understand what young people are thinking, and therefore you produce your content, your marketing exercises accordingly. So none of it goes waste. Communication at the rate 1 paise. So the mindset shift is happening. It's not about telecom only, but if you look at it from a newspaper perspective, young people are now making the decisions beyond price. There is a perception, there is a continued perception that young people like things cheap, but that's wrong. I can prove to you by example that if young people like something, if they like a particular product, they will pay more for it and spend less somewhere else, but they will not just buy something because it is cheap. So, and what I mean by cheap in your context is, if the content is not valued, if there is no premium attached to your content, they will not consume it. Even if they have to pay. I know young people who subscribe to The Economist, they subscribe to the Time magazine, they subscribe to online New York Times, and there are a growing number of people in Bombay are paying a bit more to get a copy of The Hindu, especially when the WikiLeaks are coming out. They are ready to pay if they're interested and they really want to consume. So when you're formulating a strategy, think beyond price, and that's what the telecom companies are doing. They're talking about communication at 1 paise, but the fact is, when the mobile number portability was activated, the majority of the churn happened because on basis of the service, not on basis of price, because everybody was giving the same price. Individuality. There was a perception that young people follow herd mentality. Ek karega to sab karenge. That's not happening anymore. Everybody wants to be themselves. Everybody wants to own something of their own. So if your brand, if your newspaper brand can become a brand that they own, like for example, every day in the morning, the father, I'm talking about a typical Indian household, the father says, "Mera newspaper do." That trait, if you take that, if you look at that individuality that young people want and seed it in your engagement, at the age of 18, they will use your paper. At the age of 88, they will use your paper. That is the way, this is the right time to catch upon this mindset shift and start creating a relationship with young people, because then it will be sustained. The power of many. The whole idea of divide and rule and one-upmanship is declining. Young people have realized that they must collaborate their strengths with others to reach to success. This is very important for a paper, for a newspaper especially. Rebirth of Indian values. I started with ethical citizenship. To build upon it, more and more young people, after seeing their peers go the wrong way, after looking at a lot of misbehavior that they have seen by the adults, by the elder students in their campuses, and by various examples, I think the age group right now, which is about 17 to 19 at this point, is revisiting the Indian values. They are spending more time with their grandparents to learn about the country. They want to spend equal time at home as equal to what they spend outside, and not just be outside all the time. They are understanding about the history, the culture. Now, if your newspaper became a source for that, if the content you gave made them more firm grounded, then you will have a sustained association. Quickly, the power of e-learning. Students want to learn more than what they see in their books. Unfortunately, our typical education system, whether you say university education system, government provided, is very dry. And I'm talking as a person who just graduated 2 years ago. I did a Bachelor of Mass Media, but I learned more about mass media by being in the media industry than sitting in that college room, which I never did mostly anyway.